Hey guys, this is Tommy from the Ravens Creek study, and we've been looking at Biblical Theology 101. We've made it to the Gospels, and the last video we did just kind of summarized what the whole point and purpose of the Gospels are. In this video, we're going to start looking at John the Baptist, because in all four of the Gospels, every single one of them, they start with John the Baptist's ministry. Now, I understand when you read Matthew and Luke, you see that there's the birth of Jesus, the declaration of Jesus' birth before you have John the Baptist's ministry. But even so, they don't start with Jesus and his ministry. When they start telling the story, they start with John the Baptist. Just because Matthew starts with the genealogy of Jesus does not negate this. So, what exactly is the significance of this John the Baptist fellow? Why is he at the very beginning of all four Gospels? It's important to know, to understand his significance. It's important to know that before the book of Matthew, there's a gap of about 400 years between Malachi and the New Testament. So Malachi is the last prophet before uh, just Israel's left without any prophetic voice. And this is during the time of the Maccabees, if you've ever heard of them. The Maccabees they have two or three books of the Maccabees which are in the Catholic Bible, and it's the history between Malachi and the New Testament. It's within this time that there's oppression by Greece. The Grecian kingdom falls, and the Roman kingdom is established. This is the time of Antiochus Epiphanes, if you know who that is. If you don't worry about it. It's not a big deal. Um, this is where, for 400 years, Israel, there's a point in which Israel's made captive by Greece. They're captured. And it's under the rule of Antiochus Epiphanes, who is a Greek ruler, that we have the books of Maccabees. There's no prophetic word or vision. There are no prophets to be able to counsel to see, well, what do we do underneath this Greek rule? Should we oppose it? Should we submit to it like we did in the Babylonian exile that Jeremiah told us to make the means for ourselves, building houses, planting gardens, letting our sons and daughters marry? What do we do? So for 400 years, there's silence from heaven. God has brought deliverance to his people during Antiochus's regime, but what about what the prophets declared? And we do see, if you read the books of the Maccabees, you'll know what I'm talking about. Or even if you've studied the end times and they've talked about this Antiochus fellow and how he fits into the book of Daniel and things, you'll know what I'm talking about. If not, like I said, it's not a big deal. But God does bring deliverance underneath underneath his oppression of Israel. But it's not a fulfillment of what all the prophets declared. So what about this messianic figure? It's not this Maccabee. There are no prophets. There's no Elijah as Malachi prophesied at the end of his book. So what are we doing? Where is it? John the Baptist comes on the scene. This is the first statement regarding the Gospel of Mark. John starts his Gospel with John the Baptist being the witness to the light. Matthew and Luke begin with the birth of Jesus, but their first focus after Jesus' birth is the childhood. After Jesus' birth and childhood is John the Baptist. Luke specifically even records the declaration of John's birth. So I mean, what's going on here? Think about this. Imagine the expectancy. After 400 years of silence from heaven, no prophetic word, no prophets, suddenly there's a prophet named John who is out by the river Jordan baptizing people. Could you imagine the excitement that would bring? These people are probably ruffling their feathers with one another, saying, is it a prophet or is it not? If it's the prophet, is it the prophet? Is it the one that Moses declared would come to us? If not, is it the Elijah that Malachi said was going to come? Who is this prophet? Could this be the king, the meek king of Zechariah 9? Could this be the Messiah? And this would explain the questions that the Pharisees have in John 1:19 through 28 when they send their little minions to John to ask him, who are you? This would explain their questions, is because there is a lot of expectancy here with John the Baptist. There's a lot of hope. There's a lot of stirring now. They knew full well of the prophetic expectancy, that even if they didn't fully understand it, they knew full well that there was supposed to be these signs that came. Now there's a prophet. Suddenly, there's hope and excitement again. Suddenly, they're not just asking the question of, well, what do we do? Now they can consult the prophet. What do we do? So that's the significance of John the Baptist and why he starts. I know that in John 1:19 through 28, he says that he's not the Elijah. I know this, but Jesus says that he is the Elijah that was to come. So we do have John the Baptist being this Elijah fellow, this prophet who's supposed to come before the Messiah. That's the significance of John the Baptist and why he's the one who's introduced instead of just going straight to the Jesus thing, because there's a lot that's already been declared by the prophets, and these are the questions that need to be answered. You can't just throw Jesus in and say, oh look, isn't this great? There's a lot of things that the prophets have already said. And so anyway, hopefully that helps to bring perspective into why he's in the Bible and in the scriptures and so heavily promoted through the Gospels. Maybe if you have any other suggestions, please write them below. Hit the like button or comment or whatever. Thanks for listening, and subscribe for the next video. Grace and peace.